The bright lights of the theater always made Ethan's heart race. From the wings of the stage, he could see the massive America's Got Talent sign glowing like a dream he had never dared to dream. His palms were sweaty, his second-hand guitar heavy against his chest, and the sound of the audience murmuring filled him with both fear and hope. He was just 17, a boy who grew up in the forgotten corners of small-town poverty, where music was the only luxury he could afford. Tonight, though, he was standing at the edge of something that could change everything. Ethan wasn't the kind of kid anyone expected to end up here. His family had been through storms. His father passed away when Ethan was only 10, leaving his mother to juggle 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Most days, their dinner was canned soup or bread someone from church had donated. Ethan had never owned new clothes, his jeans were patched at the knees, his sneakers duct-taped where the soles had split. But what he lacked in money, he carried in voice. His father had once told him, "Son, your voice will open doors that poverty could never lock." Those words had stayed with him even when everything else seemed to fall apart. When Ethan was 12, he found an old guitar at a garage sale, beaten up and missing 2 strings. He begged the seller to let him take it for $5, the only money he had saved from mowing lawns. For months, he taught himself chords from YouTube videos at the public library. Every strum was imperfect, but every note carried a piece of his soul. Music became his escape, his therapy, his prayer. And soon, his mother would pause after long shifts just to hear him sing. "Ethan," she'd whisper, "you sing like you've lived 100 lives." That voice, the one forged by pain and softened by love, was why he was standing here tonight. He hadn't planned on auditioning. It was his best friend, Jacob, who secretly signed him up. "Bro, the world needs to hear you. It's selfish to keep that voice to yourself." At first, Ethan laughed it off. How could a boy from nowhere end up on one of the biggest stages in the world? But when he received the confirmation email, something inside him stirred. For once, he allowed himself to believe. The stage manager called his name, and Ethan stepped into the blinding light. The judges sat before him, icons whose faces he had only ever seen on TV. Simon leaned forward with his usual sharp gaze, Heidi smiled warmly, Sophia tilted her head curiously, and Howie gave him an encouraging nod. The audience, thousands of strangers, looked at him expectantly. "What's your name, young man?" Simon asked. "My name is Ethan," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "And what are you going to do for us tonight?" "I'll be singing Hotel California by the Eagles." The audience erupted with applause. Everyone knew the song, but few expected such a young contestant to take on such a legendary piece. Simon raised an eyebrow. That's a big choice. Why this song?" Ethan took a breath, clutching his guitar. "It was my dad's favorite. He used to sing it around the house when life was still whole. I want to sing it for him tonight." The theater fell silent. Even Simon softened. When Ethan strummed the first chord, his hands no longer shook. His voice rose gently, carrying the familiar melody, but it wasn't just a cover. It was raw, haunting, drenched with grief and love and hope all at once. The lyrics of Hotel California transformed under his touch, less about a mysterious hotel and more about a boy's journey through heartbreak, loss, and resilience. Halfway through, the audience leaned in. You could hear a pin drop. Even the judges, usually quick with reactions, were transfixed. His voice cracked once, but it wasn't weakness, it was truth. And that truth resonated deeper than any perfect note ever could. And then it happened. As Ethan reached the soaring climax of the song, Heidi's eyes welled up with tears. Simon tapped his pen against the desk, visibly moved though he tried to hide it. And without hesitation, before Ethan could even strum his final chord, Sophia pressed her hand against the golden buzzer. The room exploded. Gold confetti burst from the ceiling, showering Ethan as the audience leapt to their feet, cheering, crying, screaming his name. His guitar almost slipped from his hands as he stood frozen in disbelief, tears spilling down his cheeks. The judges rushed to the stage, wrapping him in hugs. Sophia whispered in his ear, "Your father would be so proud." For the first time in years, Ethan felt the weight of poverty, loss, and fear lift off his shoulders. He wasn't just a boy anymore. He was a voice, a story, a miracle in motion. And in that golden rain, he realized something profound. Sometimes the world doesn't just give you a chance. Sometimes, it gives you wings.